You have two similar projects on the books right now. Same service type, similar scope, similar fee. One of them is making you good money, and the other one is quietly destroying your margin. And you probably have no idea which one is which. In today's video, I'm going to explain why project profitability varies so dramatically within the same firm, even on work that looks identical on the surface. I'll walk you through the 4 things that drive that divergence, and I'll show you why your current reporting almost certainly isn't surfacing it. Most firms look at profitability in aggregate. Revenue is up, overhead is controlled, net margin is okay, and the numbers look fine at the top. But that aggregate view is hiding something. Professional services is not a uniform business. You do not deliver the same work in the same way to every client. Some projects run cleanly, others absorb hours, carry difficult client relationships, accumulate scope that was never formally agreed upon, and require senior time that was never priced in. After all, it is a people-to-people business. When you average all of that together into a firm-wide margin, the profitable projects are subsidizing the unprofitable ones. And you never see it because the average looks fine. The question you really need to be able to answer is, which projects are making this money and which ones are consuming it? Many firms I speak to can't answer that question, not because the information doesn't exist, but because nobody has assembled it into a single usable view. So, what causes two similar looking projects to land at completely different margins? There are 4 things that I see constantly, and if you're regulars to this channel, these will all be familiar. Number 1 is the realization rate. Utilization measures hours logged to a project. Realization measures how much of that time was actually converted to billable revenue, revenue the client paid for. In an ideal utopian world, these are the same, but in the real world, realization is typically significantly lower. The gap between these 2 KPIs is one of the most reliable indicators of hidden margin erosion in professional services, and most firms don't track it, so they never see which projects are consistently bleeding hours that go unbilled. Number 2 is senior time allocation. This one is less obvious, but it matters a great deal. When a senior person with a high cost rate is doing the work that should have been done by a junior, the project absorbs the cost difference. The client was priced for a junior, they're getting a senior, and that margin gap comes straight out of the project. I'm not talking about senior oversight. That's necessary and should be costed in. I'm talking about senior capacity doing the work itself, because the junior resource isn't available or isn't ready. It happens constantly, and most project profitability calculations don't isolate it. Number 3 is scope creep. Unless all your projects are time and material, every firm has projects where scope has drifted. In my experience, even T&M projects tend to be capped, so we'll have some sort of time write-off. One small request here, one additional round of revisions there. The client never requested the change order because no one raised it. The team delivered it because it felt like the right thing to do. It's the proverbial death by 1,000 cuts scenario. All of these, can you just small changes end up blowing a huge hole in your margin? And not to mention overworking the team. The projects where scope was managed tightly look very different at the end from the ones where it wasn't. And the difference wasn't the fee. It's in what you allowed to happen during the delivery. Number 4 is overhead allocation accuracy. This is a technical one, but it really does matter. Firms typically allocate overhead across projects using a simple formula, either as a percentage of revenue or as a flat rate per hour. But overhead isn't uniform. Some projects consume far more internal coordination, admin time, and management attention than others. When you spread overhead evenly, the low-maintenance, efficient projects end up subsidizing the high-maintenance, complex ones. The profitable work looks less profitable than it is. The difficult, expensive work looks better than it is. And your pricing decisions are being made on that distorted picture. The irony is that this can be addressed by a couple of simple fixes. Number 1 is just add admin and non-billable tasks to projects. And number 2, create a client management project per client. That will give you the information you need to allocate your hours correctly. If these 4 things are causing margin variation in your firm, why aren't you seeing it? The honest answer is that most financial reporting is built around the GL, the general ledger. It captures revenue and costs at aggregate. It was designed for compliance and tax and not for operational decision making. Project and client level margin requires something different. It requires combining GL, project, and billing data with your overhead model and assembling them so you can see what each engagement costs to deliver. Most small firms have all of that data sitting in different systems. Some of it is reliable and some of it isn't. And nobody has ever put it together in one place. Typically because the business started using spreadsheets in QuickBooks and still thinks that that's sufficient. They don't realize that there are plenty of ERP and PSA, which is professional services automation tools, on the market that will consolidate this information for them. I started this video by saying you have two projects right now, similar scope, similar fee, and completely different margins, and you probably can't tell which is which. That's not a criticism. It's the structural reality of how many small to medium-sized professional services firms are set up. The data to answer that question almost certainly exists in your business. It's just not assembled, and until it is, you're making pricing decisions, hiring decisions, and growth decisions on an incomplete picture. If you want to understand where your margins are really coming from, which clients, which projects, and which parts of your delivery model are carrying the firm, we run a 4-week profit and capacity diagnostic that maps exactly that. The starting point is a 20-minute assessment call. No pitch. It's a working conversation to understand your situation and whether a deeper look is the right next step. There's a link in the description. If this video was useful, please do subscribe. There's more where this came from.